The desert is silent. Only the wind speaks. Sand moves like whispers of time, ancient, endless, and through that silence a figure walks, faceless, yet filled with light. A voice breaks through the wind, steady, calm, unshaken. You look for the law written on stone, but I tell you the law was never just stone. The music swells, deep, slow strings, echoing holiness and mystery. The camera pans to the horizon, a dim sun rising, its glow catching the edge of weathered stone tablets lying half-buried in the dust. Long before the mountain trembled, before the fire fell from heaven, I was. The tone is not pride. It is power wrapped in peace, not rebellion, but revelation. The world was quiet, like it was holding its breath. In the distance, shadows of mountains stood tall, ancient, unmoved, watching over the land where law was born. The air shimmered with heat and memory. Every grain of sand seemed to carry a story, of prophets, of promises, of a people who waited for truth but could not see it face to face. A slow wind brushed across the desert floor, carrying the faint echo of commandments once spoken with fire. 2 tablets of stone, cracked and worn, lay in the dust. They were more than relics. They were symbols of a covenant that had been forgotten, or perhaps misunderstood. And then, footsteps. Soft, steady, deliberate. A figure walked into view, covered in a long, simple robe. The camera never shows a face, only movement, presence, and power. The light behind him was not from the sun. It was something purer, something older. Each step stirred the sand. Each shadow seemed to bow. The music builds, soft strings with a deep pulse like a heartbeat. The narrator's voice cuts through. When the world lost its way, it was not because the law disappeared, but because they no longer saw the one who gave it. Images flash, hands holding stones, angry crowds, scrolls unrolled in dimly lit temples. Voices shout about judgment, punishment, sin. The faceless figure stops. Still, silent. The camera slowly pans around him, showing light bursting through dust, turning the desert gold. They looked at words and forgot the word. They followed rules and missed the truth. They worshipped what was written and ignored who was speaking. A slow zoom shows the outline of the tablets glowing faintly, like something alive inside them. The faceless figure extends his hand, not to destroy them, but to lift them gently from the sand. The law was never meant to chain you. It was meant to lead you to me. As he speaks, the cracks in the stone heal. The once broken tablets shine, not with fire, but with light that feels alive. The camera pans upward, showing the desert stretching into infinity, symbolizing timelessness. A whisper echoes, "I was there when the law was written, and I am here to fulfill it." The music softens into silence. The wind stills. The world seems to pause, as if waiting for what comes next. Fade to black, the silence breaks. From the shadows of the temple ruins, voices begin to rise, sharp, layered, filled with pride. Figures in long robes appear through the dust, their faces hidden by the light of torches. Their footsteps are loud, echoing through the dry stone. They move like men certain of their power, like judges waiting to condemn. "Who are you to speak of the law?" One of them demands. "Who are you to lift the tablets of Moses?" Another shouts. The camera never shows their faces, only hands clenched around scrolls, lips moving with anger, eyes glowing faintly beneath their hoods. Around them, the air seems to thicken, the light around the faceless figure flickering like a flame struggling against the wind. But he does not move. He stands still, calm. His voice, when it comes, is low, steady as the ground itself. "You speak of the law as though it belongs to you. But tell me, who wrote it?" The murmurs stop. A sudden stillness sweeps through the crowd. The camera pans slowly across their silhouettes. Hesitation cracks through their confidence. Was it not fire that carved those words? He continues, "Was it not the voice from the cloud that gave them breath?" A torch flares in the wind. The sound of burning fills the silence. The faceless figure takes one step forward. The earth hums beneath his feet, and even the stones seem to listen. "You hold the words of Moses," he says softly, "but you do not understand them. For if you did, Ade." His voice deepens, almost trembling with power. "You would know who stands before you now." The leaders look to one another. Doubt begins to bleed into their faces. One of them spits on the ground and steps forward. "Blasphemy," he hisses. "You claim what only God can claim." The faceless figure turns slightly, light wrapping around him like armor. His voice now carries both sorrow and authority. "I do not claim, I reveal." The music rises, a mix of strings and a haunting choir. Images flash across the screen. Ancient carvings of fire on stone, hands reaching through clouds, a mountain trembling under divine thunder. "I am not here to erase the law," the voice says, softer now, "but to open the eyes of those who cannot see it." The torches flicker violently, as if caught in a storm that no one can feel. One by one, the accusers step back, their anger melting into fear. The camera focuses on the faceless figure's hand as he points toward the sky, where lightning flashes faintly behind clouds. "The law was born in power," he says, "but it will live through mercy." The storm fades. Only the sound of the wind remains. The faceless figure lowers his hand and whispers, almost to himself, "And mercy has a face." The camera pulls away slowly, showing the figure alone among broken stones and fading torches. The desert returns to silence, as though the world itself is waiting for what comes next. Fade out. The wind stops. Even the dust seems afraid to move. The torches that once burned with anger now flicker weakly, their flames bending toward the faceless figure, as if drawn by something unseen. The world feels smaller now, wrapped in silence, heavy with the weight of something eternal. He stands at the center, a shape of light wrapped in shadow. The crowd surrounds him, frozen between fear and awe. No one dares to speak. Not the leaders, not the followers, not even the wind. Then, his voice breaks the stillness. It is not loud, but every word cuts through the air like thunder wrapped in calm. "You speak of Moses," he says, "as if he were above me." The echo lingers. "But before Moses lifted his staff, I was. Before the mountain shook with fire, I was there. Before stone met word, I spoke." The camera pans slowly upward, light spreading from his feet across the ground, crawling over the cracked stone, filling the darkness with gold. His robe moves with the wind that seems to return just to hear him speak. "You search the law for life," he says, "and yet life stands before you." Close-up shot, the crowd's faces, stunned, trembling. Some fall to their knees, others back away, whispering in disbelief. "I am not bound by the words written in stone. I am the breath that gave them meaning. I am the flame that burned upon the mountain. I am the voice that called out from the cloud." The music swells, deep drums, rising strings, a faint choir whispering in the background. The faceless figure lifts his hand, and light pours from it, warm, not blinding, but pure. "I am the law of Moses." The moment hangs in the air, heavy, holy, unshakable. The sound of a heartbeat echoes through the silence, slow and deep. The camera zooms out, revealing the vast desert glowing under a new light. The old torches extinguish themselves one by one. The stones around him seem to vibrate, glowing faintly as though remembering his voice. "The law was never meant to imprison," he continues, softer now. "It was meant to guide, and I am that light. The path, the truth, the fulfillment." Tears fall from the eyes of those who once accused him. They look down, unable to face the brilliance that now fills the air. The wind returns, gentler than before, wrapping around him like a whisper of praise. The sky opens slightly, sunlight breaking through the clouds. "I am the law you feared. I am the mercy you denied. I am the promise you forgot." A long pause. The light fades slowly, leaving the silhouette of the faceless figure glowing faintly against the horizon. "And I have come," he whispers, "to make all things right." The screen fades to black. The last sound and a single heartbeat echoes into silence. The silence after the declaration feels alive. It breathes, heavy, slow, and sacred. No one moves. No one dares to. The desert holds its breath again, as if time itself has paused to understand what just happened. The air trembles with something invisible, something holy. The kind of presence that bends the proud and comforts the broken at the same time. The camera pans slowly across faces hidden in half-light. Eyes widen, lips tremble. The proud men who once spoke with fire now find their words gone, burned away by the truth they just heard. Their torches sputter. The flames shrinking, surrendering to the glow around the faceless figure. He cannot say that, one of them whispers, his voice breaking. No man can speak like this. But another voice, softer, older, replies, then perhaps he is not a man. The sound of the wind returns, this time carrying the faint echo of the declaration. I am the law of Moses. I am the law of Moses. It rolls across the sand, through the stones, through the hearts of every listener. A woman in the crowd falls to her knees. Her hands press against her chest, tears cutting through the dust on her face. The camera catches the movement, the trembling of her fingers, the silent cry that never reaches her lips. Others look away, shielding their eyes as the light around him grows softer but deeper. Not blinding, but revealing. For the first time, they see themselves, their pride, their fear, their hunger for control. He speaks as one who knows, a man says quietly, not like one who learned, but one who was there. The faceless figure stands unmoved, still wrapped in calm. The world seems to revolve around him. No crown, no weapon, no army, just truth. Standing in the open, unshaken. Some of the leaders back away, their robes brushing the sand, leaving trails of uncertainty. Their faith in their own power begins to crumble. One falls to his knees, whispering, if this is true, then everything we thought we knew is nothing. A faint smile touches the air. Not seen, only felt. The light flickers again, gentler now, as though mercy itself has taken form. You came to test me, his voice says, quiet, almost kind. But I came to set you free. A sudden gust of wind lifts the dust into the air, swirling around the crowd like a living storm. The people close their eyes. When they open them, he is gone. Only light remains, shimmering faintly on the sand where he stood. The camera zooms out. A vast golden desert under a calm sky. The crowd stands scattered and small, their torches extinguished, their hearts burning with questions. What manner of man was this? Someone whispers. The music swells, slow piano over distant choir, and as the wind fades, one last echo drifts across the dunes. The law was never a burden. It was a promise. Fade to black, the light lingers long after he is gone. It hangs in the air. Not bright, not blinding, but warm, alive, breathing. The place where he stood still glows faintly, as though eternity left a footprint in the dust. The crowd stands silent. No one speaks. No one dares to disturb what they just felt. It wasn't a miracle they could explain. It was something deeper, something that reached inside the soul and pulled it toward the light. Slowly, one by one, they begin to move. A man who had shouted in anger now kneels. His hands, once clenched in rage, open, empty, trembling. A woman wipes her tears with the edge of her veil, her eyes fixed on the golden horizon where the light fades. A child reaches out, touching the sand where he stood, as if trying to hold on to what cannot be seen. He said, "He was the law," a voice whispers softly. "Then the law was never meant to break us." The camera pans over the cracked tablets lying once again in the dust. But now, their fractures glow faintly, healed by something unseen. They no longer look like stone. They look alive, as if the words carved within them are still breathing. The narrator's voice returns, calm and deep. He came not to erase the command, but to awaken the meaning. Not to condemn, but to complete. Not to judge from the mountain, but to walk among those who have fallen. The scene shifts. The desert begins to change. Soft rain starts to fall, rare, unexpected. Each drop hits the sand like a heartbeat. The dust turns dark, alive again. A faint rainbow glimmers through the mist. The world thought the law was a wall, the voice continues. But he showed them it was a door. Visuals fade into a vision of people helping one another. Hands lifting hands, strangers embracing. Eyes once filled with fear now shining with peace. No faces, only gestures. Every act a reflection of the truth they just witnessed. He turned justice into mercy. He turned rules into love. He turned stone into life. The camera slowly moves toward the sky. The clouds part, and sunlight pours through like a golden river. In the glow, faint words appear across the sky. Not written by hand, but formed by the light itself. Fulfilled, the narrator whispers, almost fading into the wind. The law was never meant to stand above man. It was meant to live within him. The music swells, a gentle orchestral rise, full of hope and release. The last shot shows the desert now blooming. Small green shoots breaking through the wet sand. Life rising from what was once barren. He came to give the law a face and a heart. The screen fades to white. Silence returns, peaceful this time. A new dawn begins. The light that touched the desert did not die there. It moved, unseen, unstoppable, carried by wind, by memory, by faith. Those who saw him never forgot. They went home changed, though none could explain why. The world looked the same. Stone walls, busy markets, tired faces. But something had shifted. The law, once carved in stone, now beat quietly inside their hearts. He said the law was alive, one man whispered to his son as they walked through the narrow streets. Alive? The boy asked. Yes, the father said, because he was. The camera glides through scenes of ordinary life. A mother forgiving her child. A merchant sharing bread with a stranger. A soldier lowering his weapon in mercy. Small moments, but each one shining with quiet holiness. The voiceover begins again, soft and steady. He came to rewrite what time had forgotten, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of the heart. Cut to a scene of an old scribe sitting under candlelight, his ink running dry as he tries to write the law again. He pauses, lays down his pen and looks upward, tears in his eyes. The word was never trapped in letters, the narrator continues. It lived, it breathed, it became flesh, and it walked among them. The music swells, warm strings, gentle choir. The visuals fade between eras, ancient robes becoming modern clothes, temples turning into cities, scrolls replaced by screens. But through every age the same light appears, flickering in eyes, in kindness, in forgiveness. Every act of mercy, the voice says, is a verse of his law. Every moment of love, a commandment fulfilled. The faceless imagery returns, hands reaching out, lifting the fallen, wiping away tears. No faces, only actions. The law living through people, not words. Rain begins to fall again, but this time it is different. Heavier, cleansing. The world seems to breathe. The stones of the temple glisten. The desert flowers bloom. What was once written to restrain now teaches to love, the narrator says. What was once feared now frees. A slow montage follows. A man setting his enemy free. A woman giving her last loaf of bread to a stranger. Children laughing in the rain. The world reborn in small holy moments. He did not come to change the world with power, the voice whispers, but with presence. The camera pulls back, the earth glowing faintly from above. A small blue light in the endless dark. The same divine light that once stood in the desert now lives everywhere. And still, the voice concludes, he speaks through every heart that chooses mercy over judgment, love over fear. For the law of Moses did not end, it awakened. The music fades to silence, leaving only the sound of a heartbeat. Steady, eternal, human. The story did not end in the desert. It never could, for truth does not fade. It echoes. The voice that once spoke on the mountain, that thundered through fire and cloud, now whispers softly in every heart that listens. The screen shows a quiet night sky. Stars shimmer like sparks of memory, each one holding a piece of that ancient light. The camera moves through time, the past, the present, the future, blending together as one endless horizon. Generations rise and fall, the narrator says, voice calm and deep. Kingdoms fade, empires crumble, but his words remain. A gentle wind flows through the scene. The same sound from the beginning. The cycle has closed. The silence returns, not empty but full of meaning, of peace. Images shift, from the barren desert to cities glowing at night, from lonely roads to crowded streets. Everywhere the same presence lingers, unseen but undeniable. People helping, forgiving, rebuilding. Children laughing in places once marked by war. The law now lives not as command, but as compassion. He did not just fulfill the law, the voice continues. He became it. Every act of love, every moment of grace, every heart that chooses light over darkness, echoes him. The music swells, soft piano, strings, and a faint hum of voices that sound like angels breathing. The faceless figure appears once more, distant, walking through light. No words, no face, only presence. The camera draws closer. His hand brushes over a wall of stone, and where his touch passes, the cracks vanish. The wall turns into glass, clear, shining, open. The law of Moses was written for the eyes, the narrator whispers, but his truth was written for the soul. The figure turns toward the light, the same light that once broke through the clouds, now wider, warmer, endless. As he steps into it, his shape begins to fade, becoming one with the glow. He came as fire on the mountain. He walked as light in the desert, and he remains as love in the world. The screen begins to fade to white. The music slows, softer now, each note like a heartbeat, steady, eternal. A final whisper, gentle, almost carried by the wind. I am the law of Moses, not written in stone, but alive in you. The white fades to black. The title appears slowly, glowing like embers. I am the law of Moses. The chosen scene. Reimagined. A final sound. One heartbeat, then silence.